Good morning, all. Hopefully, today I can get some better volume. It's still my phone, but I don't know. Um, I'm just kind of waking up, so I'm not exactly all my usual self that you get. Well, I'm missing my teeth, put it that way. I don't feel like putting them in just yet because I'm going to be wearing them most of the day. Anyhow, um, today's little chat is a little bit about what I remember of Germany. Now, some of you who watch my videos before know I've talked about Germany and a few things from Germany. But this one's going to be more direct towards my actual life, not just little events here and there. My father was granted finally after Arkansas, was given his shipment papers to go to Germany. Now, by this time, I do not remember the Philippines. Of course, I didn't remember the Philippines except for the stories that were told. But Germany was very interesting. I mean, we were in Arkansas at the time. We drove to um, St. Louis because it was around Christmas time, so we drove to St. Louis for the holidays. It was, I don't know if it was closer to Christmas or closer to Thanksgiving, but I remember it was the winter of '79. So we did whatever it was we did in excuse me, in St. Louis because that's where mom's side of the family was. Um, my aunt and uncle, her brother and sister, my cousins and their spouses. Um, we got on a plane and started our flight um, to Germany. Now we were on a commercial airplane. We were not on a military aircraft. This was just a regular TWA at the time, and which is kind of funny because TWA is well after the '80s. Well, after our time in Germany, it had a new acronym. I know it was Trans World Airlines, but TWA became more of a terrorist logo. No, don't. No, it wasn't really a terrorist logo. It was a joke because factor terrorists were using Trans World Airlines more than your everyday plane. But that was back in the '80s, before terrorists became a big problem. But anyhow, we were. I'd fallen asleep on a plane. Um, I don't remember how long the flight was. I think it was close to 18, maybe more, 18 to 20 hour flight. I don't remember how long the flight was, but I just remember waking up. Um, if I remember right, it was somewhere over like Iceland or someplace like that. We were getting ready for not our descent, but we were getting ready to line up for our entry into European airspace or German airspace, whatever you want to call it. But I woke up wanting to go back home. Sure, yeah, okay, we're going to turn the plane around over Iceland to go home. Don't work that way. I did not know at the time how much fun I would have in Germany or the adventures we had in Germany. We got there in the winter, January, so it had to be after Christmas. We got there in early '80. Um, when we got there, we landed in Frankfurt Airport, and we were greeted by a an officer from the base. Now, it is customary. I found out it was customary when a military family coming from America to at least Germany. I don't know about the rest of the other bases around the world, but it was customary that you had a liaison um, to pick you up at the airport and bring you to the base. It was roughly a 2.5 to 3 hour drive from Frankfurt to Han Air Base, Germany, which no longer is a air base. It's now a municipal airport for the local community, which is hey great. At least it's still a usable airfield, even if it's just for the local um, one of the local airports instead of a major airport. But anyhow, we got there. The liaison helped us get to the base. He helped us find the place where we're going to temporarily stay until they can find us housing. So we stayed at a guest house at. Hold on, my brain is trying to remember the name of the town. Zorn. It was the local town outside of the base. Um, so we stayed in the guest house for I think it was close to a month that we stayed in the guest house before we found housing outside of the base. I mean, the locals in some of the towns had an apartment for military families to stay in, usually above the upper part of somebody's home, um, which is basically what happened with us. We stayed in the guest house for at least a month that I can remember. I started school and still living in the guest house, so it had to be at least a month, maybe more. I remember while we were still at the guest house, because let me tell you about the guest house. Let me go there first. The guest house was the equivalency of a hotel without a bathroom. The bathroom was a communal bathroom on the floor you were on. You shared it with, I think we shared it with three other rooms. Now the rooms were big enough for us to sleep in. I mean, I did not have a bed of my own. I either slept on the floor or slept in this huge sleigh type bed with either my mom or both my parents. This is 80. So I was like 9 years old. Um, and the room was huge. It had like seating, a small table. It did not have a kitchen. It did not have the amenities of an apartment. Basically, it was just a big old room. You go downstairs into the hotel or the dining area part and get your food, and you can bring it upstairs to your room. I do not remember if they had room service or anything like that. I don't remember all the amenities. I just remember this big room with a couch, which I think my dad slept on or my mom slept on several nights. This huge sleigh type bed. It must have been like a king plus. That's how big it was. It had to be some sort of customized bed. Of course, it had the European style bedding, which is like eider down comforter, big, huge, fluffy pillows, silky smooth sheets that were really warm during the winter time. We weren't there for some time, but the room was nice and warm. The bedding was warm. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why my father did not sleep in the bed, because it was too warm for him. My father was like me; his body temperature goes up when he sleeps, so in the middle of wintertime, he could break out in a sweat under the right kind of covers. Um, I, as a child, did not have his sweat glands. In fact, my sweat glands were underdeveloped. That's why I have skin conditions. Um, because I don't sweat unless something is really, really wrong. Like it's really like oven bake hot, or I'm sick, really sick. That's why you don't see me sweat. um, but yeah, that room was huge. It had a gigantic armoire for our clothing, a chest of drawers for clothing. But we stayed there for at least a month, maybe a little bit more. And then our first house was an apartment above the landlord's house, or this German family's home. Well, we looked out on that area because when my father went in one time to check up on housing to see what we can get into, they didn't have a house or apartment or anything like that on base yet. Um, they didn't know of any openings outside of the base. But the day that my dad went to check in, he lucked out because the Burgermeister, or mayor of one of the local towns, Ortle, Germany, um, which not in this room, but I have a beer stein with its name on it. A small little German community that had they had a little area in their town called Little America, which was a bunch of homes that was specifically set up for American families that lived on base or wanted to live off base, but living, you know, worked on base. Anyhow, he ran into I don't remember his first name. I just remember calling him Herr Mister Hybe, which was their last name. And well, he knew of a vacancy that just opened up and was willing to help my family move into it. So they sat down and got the paperwork ready and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Now the benefit of an American family living in the upstairs apartment, because some of the German families build their homes with an apartment above it for whomever. I'm not gonna say that they did it specifically for American families, but they did it for whomever. Anyhow, this particular family, the Hibes, um, Hibes, yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. But the Hives were willing to let us live upstairs. Now, unknown to my father, because he wasn't told exactly who owned the house or who lived in the main part of the house. But when we moved in, we found out that Herr Hive, the Burgermeister, mayor, was the father of the gentleman and his family. So we were living basically in the son's, or the mayor's son's home. No, it wasn't a fancy, elaborate place. It was your everyday average home with a legal two-story family home that we would have here in the States. The only difference is the main entrance, you go in the main entrance, there's a stairwell that goes upstairs to where we were, and then a secondary entrance for the main home. That was nice, and especially since Germany has some really cold, especially in the area we were living in, had some extremely cold winters, and the summers, if it got above 80, was like, oh my god, put on your shorts, go to the pool, have fun. Um, because the area we were living in, I'll give you the translations. The area we were living in, or the mountain range we were living in, was known as the Hunsrück Mountains, which means Dogback Mountains. So, what does the dog's back get? The worst weather possible: rain, snow, you name it. Um, so yeah, we were dealing with that, and it was very hilly. It was hilly, but it was fun during the wintertime because then you get your sled and you just slide downhill and hope you climb back up the hill afterwards. Just try to stop before you leave town, otherwise you'll end up in the Mosel River down in Zell, which is a town just a few miles south of Outlet. Good winery too. and I don't know this as a kid. I just know this as I've tried some of the Mosel River wine that I could find when I got old enough and went, oh, wow, no wonder Dad liked it there. No, my dad was not a drinker, but he did enjoy his drink when he could have it or decide to have it. But anyhow, so for the first year we lived in Outlay, I started learning the language not from books, not from school, but from the locals. And the locals were really friendly people. I mean, granted, I got in trouble twice um, for my adventurous nature while living on Outlet. The first year I was there. But anyhow, I met my downstairs neighbors. They had two daughters. Actually, three daughters. Excuse me. No, no, I take it back. I was right the first time. Two daughters. One of them was, I'm sorry, I do not remember their names. Um, one of them was not exactly keen on me being around her friends. Um, she wasn't really all that keen being around me, but she was polite enough when her parents were there to treat me with some dignity. Um, all I wanted to be was friends, of course. And I learned from the father was Alphonse, the mother was Rose, I do believe. Rose or Rosa, I don't remember exactly. I know one of those words means old lady. Yeah. But anyhow, I basically was learning basic German from them. Like Guten Tag is good day, Guten Abend is good night, or good evening, excuse me. Guten Morgen is good morning. Guten Nacht is good night. Learn basic greetings and politeness. Ways to be polite to let whomever know that I was trying to learn their language. Now, the one good thing about the Germans, or especially the ones we were living around, were if you attempted to speak their language, they would do their best to speak your language. And English is not exactly well, English to them is a second language, while German to us would be a second language. And a lot of the school kids did learn German in school, or not German, excuse me, English in school. The American students on base learned German in school. But anyhow, it was good. It was friendly. We learned a lot of good stuff the first year. I mean, we learned how to take a joke. Germans do joke. Their jokes are not exactly what we consider. Most of us would not laugh at, but a lot of European humor is what we would consider. Well, I don't know if we would consider it sarcasm, but look at British humor. British humor is very dry. So is most of European humor. It's dry humor. Um, one of the first holidays that we got to experience was in February or March. I can't remember. It was shortly after we got there, after we moved into Outlay. The holiday is, or it's called Fasching, not Thashing, Fasching. Basically, what they do is, if on this night, basically, a group of the town's men would go around the town and collect whatever was not tied down, whatever they can carry, move, push, pull, whatever, on their own, no motor vehicle or anything like that. They try to do this without making a lot of noise. They would gather these items up and they would take them to the town square and put them around what was put up as a maypole. Um, and basically, and the next morning, well, if you had something missing, your best bet is to go look in the town square around this maypole. You might find your wagon, your cart, your trash can, your hoe, your hose, your car. Yes, I said car. The reason why I said car is because they attempted to move the Beetle, the Volkswagen Beetle that that was my mom's. My dad had got it from my mom, so in case that she needed to drive someplace, she could. That didn't quite go over well. Mom didn't like that car. Mom had a hard time driving the Beetle. Now we had a Hornet, a Plymouth Hornet that we brought from the states that we had in Arkansas. The only reason why she didn't like driving that is because it was big. Anyhow, what the townsfolk had tried to do is they had to try to push the Beetle out of the driveway of where we were living. And, well, because they couldn't get into the vehicle, they could not turn the wheels. So it ended up blocking the road, which was kind of funny. Because that next morning, after we woke up, we were hearing horns honking and tooting and laughing and carrying on, basically. And well, we didn't have windows to look down the street. We had those roof windows that lift up. That's basically the only windows we had in that apartment, except for at each end of the. Because we were living upstairs, and the roofing, the way the roofing is, there's no way to put windows there. But anyhow, which is kind of fun because we had to tack a towel up over my window so it wouldn't wake me up at the butt crack of dawn. Excuse my language. But we at first didn't know what was going on because we didn't know about the holidays. We hadn't figured out the holidays yet. So when we came down, well, Dad went downstairs. And he was getting ready to go to work. He went downstairs and went. Actually, this was a Saturday morning, so he wasn't getting ready for work. He was off duty. Otherwise, he would have known about it way earlier. But it was kind of funny because my dad was like, "Did we forget to put the brakes on? How did this get from point A to point B?" Rosie, that was her name. Rosie. I remember Rosie. She had told us about the holiday and the fact of that because it was the only of the two vehicles that were parked out there. It was the only one that was light enough for them to move. Because you got to realize the Hornet was this big old station wagon built in the '70s. So this was a hard-bodied vehicle. It wasn't lightweight. Granted, the Beetle was made out of metal, not fiberglass and tinfoil, whatever you want to call it. But it was the lighter of the two vehicles that they could push. Because the other one, they were like, no, that's too heavy for 5 big guys, you know. So it was like, oh, okay. So I mean, we moved it out of the way of the oncoming vehicles, and everybody was having a good time. At first, it was kind of like, that's rude, but no, it's their sense of humor. It's like, oh, okay, well, we couldn't turn it. We're just gonna leave it here to let them know, hey, you guys did not park this inside a garage, you know. But the thing was, by the time this happened, because it was a small town, word gets around real quick who's who. I mean, by the end of the second, maybe third week we were there, half the townspeople, if not 90% of the townspeople, knew who I was. That I was the son of the military officer living above, so and so's house. So I can literally walk around the town. People, I mean, granted, I did not know they knew me by possible name or possible. This is what he looks like. But the people were so friendly that I could be walking down the street, they wave. I even had one German grandmother, I guess she was an elderly woman, offer me Käkchen, which is basically anything like a cookie or anything like that. Basically, Käkchen is like a dessert or a sweet. Not exactly chocolate, but it's like cookies and cakes and little treats like that. And being who I was and how I not only was I innocent in the fact that some people can be full of malice and try to hurt you, um, I didn't know what that was until my teens. After my dad retired, so I loved it. The second year, we ended up living on base. Base housing is basically apartment complexes, 8 stories high, no elevator. So I got my exercise going up and down those stairs, to and from school, to and from my friends' places, to and from the outdoors, whatever. We did have a balcony, which was fun because I had a friend that was towards the lower half of they were like 2 or 3 apartments below me, and I used to try to drop water balloons on him. Yeah, I did not know how dangerous that was as a kid, but we thought it was fun. Um, the second winter we lived there when we were on base housing, the families, the apartment complexes would get together and have fun. Um, my mom still had that Beetle, and it was during the wintertime. My mom wouldn't drive. My mom would hang up her keys. You want me go someplace? You drive me. So that Beetle would get parked and get covered in snow because people would just throw the snow on top of it, plow the parking lot. But anyhow, we used to get together during that time and take old metal loaf pans, fill them up with snow, and a little bit of water to make them solid, and make ice forts so we can have snowball fights. Well, this particular winter, because mom had her car parked at the end of the parking lot, and it got covered in snow, and snow heaped up around it, and when we went outside to play, all we saw was this big giant mound. Forgot what was underneath it. Went, oh look, homemade slide. We'd climb up one end, slide down the other. Climb up one end, slide down the other. We did that for the whole winter, which in Germany, winter could last 5 to 6 months. Just like here in certain parts of the states, winter could last half the year. Start snowing as early as September, don't stop until almost June. Well, come summertime, mom and dad was like, "Where's the Beetle? We don't see it. We see all of the cars. Where's the Beetle?" Come springtime, sometime when the snow melted, there's the Beetle. Funny thing is, from all that climbing and sliding, you can tell by the front end of the Beetle where the slide part was because it was concave. None of the windows were broken. Surprisingly, from all the climbing up the one end and sliding down the other, the windows never broke. German German ingenuity at its finest. Um, but she still run. The front end might be a little dented in, but she still ran. Um, the purpose of mom getting the Beetle was the fact that towards the end or latter half of our first year in Altley, um, we had my grandfather, my mom's father, pass away, and my cousin Debbie. If you watch this, Debbie, there you go. Shout out to you. Um, my cousin Debbie was getting married. So dad had to come back. Well, dad came back to the states. TDY. I don't know. I don't know the terminology there, but it was basically the permission, an emergency leave to go back to the states because of a family situation. The government's good about taking care of family, no matter if they're spouse, child, blood related, married related, whatever. So dad came back to the states for almost a month, maybe a little bit more. I can't remember. So mom used the Beetle because she wasn't going to drive that Hornet. Um, Interesting. We had a Hornet and a Beetle. Was there a theme to that? I don't know. And two different bug type cars. One of them was a Beetle, and one of them was a station wagon called the Hornet. That was a good car, by the way. I love that car. I remember all the trips from Arkansas to St. Louis for holidays. I would sit in the back game facing backwards, watching the world go by, and pretending. Either if I wasn't sleeping, I was pretending something else was going on. I don't know. I was a very imaginative kid. Of course, being an only child, you have no siblings to fight with, argue with, or play with. You create a lot of scenarios and stories and whatnot in your head. Anyhow, we went to while we were in Germany. Our second year was on base. Our third year, again, we lived off base. We lived in the apartment half of what was a rouladen factory. Now, rouladen is not a food. There is a food that has a similar sounding name. These rouladens are shutters. They're blinds, and in a lot of European houses, they have these blinds, and what they do is they go over your window or your glass door or anything that can let light out to create a blackout situation. That way, because during the war, and these were invented towards the end of or middle of part of World War II, and what they're designed to do is they go over the windows and they slide together, interlock basically, and they basically keep the light from inside the house going outside. So if a bomber was flying overhead, they can't go, oh, there's a town down there, or oh, look, there's buildings down there. You can't tell because they're blacked out. Now, in modern day era, it probably wouldn't matter because of modern day equipment can detect the faintest. You got like infrared, you've got starlight, you've got night scope. They will detect your house. They still do them nowadays just because of the fact that they're good in the fact that if they go over your windows and they block out the sunlight from coming in, that's the other benefit is if you don't want to be woken up by sun light coming through or bright lights coming through at any time of the day, you can close these rouladens, these shutters basically to block the light out. But anyhow, this was the factory that made those. Now, by this time, I was in my. This had to be like 82. So I was about 11 years old. I was in my preteens by this time. Well, right next to this factory, one side was a gas station restaurant type place. And the other side was a sheep's pen. And behind us was this big old open field with horses. Now, I had never experienced anything other than cats and dogs. I've never been around. Shouldn't say that. I was close enough to smell, but never touch a cow at my cousin Marvin's in here in Missouri. At least I don't think I would. No, did I ever go to that farm? I don't remember. I don't remember if I ever went to Marvin's farm before the '80s. That's another cousin, Marvin, junior, senior. Senior has passed away. Junior is still around. But anyhow, I had never experienced feeding a horse, touching sheep, being around anything more than cats and dogs. I've never been around horses, never been around any kind of domesticated animal besides cats and dogs and birds. Because we had inherited a parakeet. I'm going to tell you about this parakeet. While we were living on base housing, one of our neighbors had a parakeet. They called this parakeet Herman the German. Now, this parakeet was hand raised. So it was a very friendly but very interesting little bird. Anyhow, the whole family had to come back to the States for family emergency. So we were requested to basically watch this parakeet. Not a big deal. Sure. How difficult would it be to watch a parakeet? Change the paper in the bottom of his cage, give him food, give him water. Not a problem. So we did this. Brought him into our apartment and did this, and then they came back and said, look, you guys get to keep the parakeet. We are basically going back to the States. So they get shot, got all that stuff, went back to the States. So we got this parakeet. We brought this parakeet with us to the off-base housing, the third and final year of our stay in Germany. Well, unknown to me that if you do not close this parakeet's cage tightly, he will open the door and proceed to come out. Now, We didn't know anything about trimming his flight feathers or anything like that so he can fly around. Um, our information on this bird was limited to feed, change, let it be. Well, one day, it must have been a Saturday, everybody's sitting in the kitchen, our living room, attempting to watch TV. In Germany, they had a lot of American reruns, all in German. One of the first things we did learn about German television, German media, basically, if there's going to be a nude scene, basically, they're not going to block it out or anything. They're going to let it just all natural. Well, one of the other things I did learn as a kid there is they have nude beaches. I'm sorry, what? Shocker. Culture shock. I mean, that was not the first of many culture shocks when we got there, but it was like, oh, look, she's taking a shower. She's taking off her clothes. Wait a minute. It's being bared, all bared. It's like, it's all there. There's not like little bubbles covering up anything. Mm-mm. So it was one of those things where my parents were just kind of like, he's got to learn anyhow. Why not let him learn now? That, in fact, was like, oh, well, that's what they do here in Europe. The other fun thing about European TV is they show the whole show. If it's an hour long show, it's going to be an hour long show. There's no commercials. In between, segments in between every show is 30 minutes worth of commercials. Whether it's commercials about food products, a animated kid style commercial for the kids and chocolate and whatnot. They had two particular cartoon characters, Frick and Frack. That was their names, Frick and Frack. Frick and Frack were troublemakers, and basically the shows or the animated clips were seeing Frick and Frack get in trouble and their punishment, what they had to do for redemption of what they did wrong. Whether it's they destroyed somebody's fence, well, now they got to rebuild the fence. Things like that. It was an interesting way to help teach kids right from wrong. Why can't we do that here? Too late. Um, that in fact, one of the things I found out about Germany is if we were to stay, because my father was offered two different jobs while in Germany. One by the Burgermeister himself, and one by the Rouladen owner to basically sell the product here in the States. We would have been allowed to stay in Germany. They would have helped us out. He would have been the English speaking liaison. I would have had to go to German high school, which, by the way, their school is not 5 days a week. It's 6 days a week and church. Mm-hmm. Right. The other thing we found out after we came back to the States, or actually, maybe my parents found out before they came to the States. If we would have stayed, and I would have graduated high school there, I would have had to do 2 years mandatory military service. And once I was done with those 2 years, I could either go to a higher education, college type schooling, or just get a job in the mainstream, or stay in the military. 2 years mandatory military service, and the people of Europe. And I don't know if this is all the countries, but the people of Germany. Let's just say Germany. The people of Germany are much better off for it because they learn dignity, they learn respect, and they learn how to follow the rules and regulations of whatever they're doing. Well, geez, I wonder if we would be a better nation if we had the same thing, where once you're out of high school, you do a 2 year mandatory military service. Now, you might not go see combat, you might not see a foreign country, but you get the education, you get the discipline, and you get the knowledge and learn how to respect. I don't know why I'm talking about this. learn how to respect those around you and work on as a team for a better nation. Now, the 3 years we were there in Germany was awesome. I got to see castles. I got to see various parts of the country. I got to see. I got to learn firsthand about a foreign country and their language and their history. And any of you who may take a watch of this that don't know certain things history wise, let me give you a brief history. One, you ever go to Germany, do not mention Hitler being German. They will basically, you won't like the verbal, if not the physical abuse you get from it. Hitler was Austrian, who just happened to brainwash a bunch of Germans to follow him. Second off, the people of Germany may seem to be proud of who they are. This goes back to they've had to deal with hardships that we've never seen before. We talk about how we've dealt with the Civil War, we've dealt with the Independent War, we've dealt with World War One, we've dealt with World War Two. Germany is older than the United States of America, and they've been shaped and reshaped over centuries of warfare, from the early hundreds, 400 or 500 BC, to our modern to World War Two. They've dealt with the Prussian War. They've dealt with inner conflict. They've dealt with the Roman Empire trying to conquer all of Europe. They've dealt with various border conflicts, trying, either France trying to become bigger, or Russia trying to get bigger, or with various countries trying to get bigger. And I mean, just take a look at let's just take a look at the Black Forest. Now, the Black Forest we think of Germany. Well, the Black Forest stretches from Germany into its neighboring country. All of that used to be part of Germany, but because of border conflicts and decisions on where the border stands, the Black Forest has been cut in half. Now, the major and more notable half is in Germany. Okay. Um, Germany has all different kinds of beautiful castles. Some of them are now tourist attractions, like Neuschwanstein. You've got other castles that most people don't know about because they're smaller. They're not as elegant or well built or done by King Ludwig, who built multiple castles, and everybody thought him insane. Well, if his insanity is what caused or created Neuschwanstein, he was not exactly insane. He was brilliant. Um, you know, but we've seen, like, one of the places that I talked about once before. It's a castle. It's a fortified town called Berg-Eltz. Now, Berg-Eltz is in a valley. In order to get to Berg-Eltz, you have to traverse or travel downhill a very winding, steep road. Mom and I did it on a Volksmarch, or a school visit. Volksmarches were basically, they were considered like your 10K or your 5K or 12K or 20, 50K walks. You got these little, I wish I had them, medals. My school gave out medals for the different places or the different marches we went on to. But Berg-Eltz, Mom and I called it Cardiac Hill, because going down it is not too bad. Coming up it is really, really taxing. I don't think I could do it at my current state of health and age. But it was fun to go down to. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy visiting it, but it's a fortified town. That's basically, I don't know, I can't say how big it is, but I wouldn't even call it a town. It's not even big enough to be a town, but it's like a fortified structure that is maybe about the size of a small skyscraper or apartment complex. Let's say about 10, 12 stories high, I guess. I'm trying to remember, but my memory's kind of foggy. And it's just the town, the center of it is open, but the whole outside is walls. Um, and the thing is, it was never. I mean, the history of it is because of where it was located. It was never bombed during the war. It was never invaded during the history of it. It was like a well kept secret. You know. Then we've seen like Koblenz and Kokum and Trier, and there's a whole bunch of different other castles that we've seen that I can't remember. We collected, and unfortunately, we don't have as many as we did before when we came back from Germany. But we had a couple beer steins, schnapps glasses, wine glasses, goblets of one form or another from the various castles. We even had I think I still have it, frankly, a shot glass from Han Air Base itself. It was one of the best 3 years of my youth. Um, like I said, I learned a lot of the different. I learned the language, the history. I've seen a lot of the different sites. Been a lot. I mean, we were there for 3 years, 3 whole years, and we got to see a lot. Um, am I disappointed that my mom and dad decided not to stay? Kinda, kinda. I would have loved living there. Who knows what my health conditions would have turned out to be, what my educational situation would have turned out to be because of my learning disabilities and whatnot. Um, would I love to go back and visit? Yeah, I'd love to take Jerry and go visit Europe. I'd love to go back to Germany to where I was just to see how it changed and see if anybody, well, doubtful, but see if I remember anybody if I go to Altley. Um, Han Air Base is no longer there, so it's probably totally different. They say the airfield and some of the hangars are still there, but otherwise, it who knows what if the base housing is still there or what they did with that section, the school, the elementary and the high school for the American students or the American GI's kids. Um, yeah, I mean, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't remember a lot of the language. I vaguely remember some of the castle names and you know things like that. I remember one of the things I vaguely remember, but it was more from what my parents told me is across the way from where we lived in Altley. There was a young couple that got married. Now the house belonged to the grandparents or something like that, and the young couple was having the town was building a house for the young couple. It's kind of a tradition. Oh yeah, your kids get married. Let's go get together and build them a home. Um, and my dad got invited to the party. Now my mom didn't go because of me. Well, see, the funny thing was my dad didn't know them very well. He was just invited because of the fact that he was the renter of the family's friend and got invited that way. Well, we found out, or at least Dad found out, and then I found out via stories that when you go to a German party, including, and I've never been to, but I would love to go to Oktoberfest in Munich because that's like Oktoberfest capital. And from what I've seen through videos and pictures and been told, you go to something like that, they give you a chunk of bread for one hand, a sausage for another hand, a beer mug in one elbow, and then another drink over here, and you're basically just going to town. Well, the Germans are known for basically walking around with a pitcher, bottle, whatever of whatever liquor, beer, wine, whatever that happens to be available. Um, and if they see your drinking vessel half empty, they don't even ask you what you had. They just pour something in there. So you are literally getting mixed drink. Um, if you have never been to a European style party and had to deal with no, this is beer. Don't. What is that? No, they'll just pour whatever into your cup. Um, so you were having the equivalency of a mixed beverage, a highly intoxicating mixed concoction. Well, my dad had not been drinking since I was born, so at least 10 to 11 years. He had not had more than maybe a sip of beer because he mixed beer with his barbecue. Um, which I didn't know as a kid, but it tasted great. Yeah. I loved his barbecue. I think everybody loved his barbecue because every time we were at a barbecue, it's like, oh, Jim's here, he can cook it. Yep. Um, anyhow, this is going to be another long one. I'm sorry. He came back from that party and basically puked his guts out. Next morning, my mom went, "You get to clean that up because that's your mess." So that was one of the stories, memories that I was told that to this day I think was kind of funny because it's like, okay, I've never seen Dad drunk, but that's an interesting story. Anyhow, in the winter of '83 is when we came back to the States. So that will be the next video I do is the latter half of the '80s and my memory and tragedies because the latter half of the '80s was kind of '86, '87 was not exactly a great year for us, or '85, '86. Yeah, '85. Well, mid '80s. Let's just put it mid '80s. Anyhow, I'm sorry if the volume is low, high, because I'm using my phone. I should have used Jerry's while she was still asleep. Um, which is what we said we were going to do, but I just keep on forgetting. Or she's usually busy on it. But anyhow, again, sorry for the volume. Hopefully you got to hear most of it. If you had to jack up your volume, plug in some of your buds, something like that. Hopefully you got to hear most of it. Um, if you enjoyed this video or want to see more or both, give it a thumbs up. You want to hear more, you want to know when I put the next one in, hit the bell, you'll get notified for it. Um, comments can be made below, questions can be made below. I try to get to your comments, questions as quickly as possible. I am still looking, for those of you who know my situation, I am still looking for a job. Hoping here in a little while I can go out and start hitting some of the places, see if they've got my application via the internet or fill out a paper one. But I will be on more. I am trying to get at least every other day like I've done so far. Hopefully in between I'll put something else that has nothing to do with my past, but maybe what's going on in the present or what I'm studying. Um, yes, I do. I do Bible studies and just general readings of one form or another, whether it's biblical or just maybe I want to just jump on here and blow some steam, let you guys hear what's going on. I don't know. Anyhow, I will be back soon. Thank you very much for watching. God bless. See you guys soon.